regular people like this young lady coming and bringing a message. That's very important. It's those little bitty pieces of interactions, not the big strokes. The little pieces of interactions constantly coming collectively are so important. And in fact, there are a number of issues that are on the table now.
You got the floor.
And in terms of those issues, I could go through some of them, but I'm going to highlight some because of what the governor did. Now, this governor dealt with something that was very important from the standpoint of voter rights. Just think about it. His father, Stephen Bashir, who was governor, executed an executive order restoring the voting rights of ex-felons with some conditions. It impacted a lot of people. But guess what? When the next governor came in of another party, another persuasion, he cut that off.
Yes.
But guess what? When the next governor comes in, who is Steve Bashir's son, Andy, he comes back in and he makes good on that promise again. See, it makes a difference if you participate in the voting process. It makes a difference if you have your voice heard, not just by voting. Because if Andy Bashir had not won that race, there would have not been an executive order from that governor impacting over 140,000 people who are now eligible to participate in the democratic process. Let me take it further. Take Medicaid. The last governor put conditions in there. They framed them as work orders. You know, you have to have work requirements in order to keep your Medicaid coverage. You look, Medicaid is critical to many families, obviously. But it was calculated because he knew and others knew by research and studies that this would lower the number of individuals that would be able to access Medicaid. And that means that's going to be a direct impact upon their families' health, et cetera, et cetera. This government steps in, withdraws those policies so that those policies that would militate against access to Medicaid were eliminated, and that door has been reopened. I could go on and on in terms of, but here is the key. That governor is limited by what he can do by executive order. The legislature can't run the government in the sense of what a governor can. So it's key what this governor is doing. This governor needs support. People need to recognize it. But when it comes to what I do and elected officials do in the legislature, where we set policy, that is a slow and grueling process. You can't get it done by a stroke of a pen. You can't get it done because you think it's right. You can't get it done because you think it's fair. You can't get it done because you think it's needed. But those who are in control that set that agenda are going to ultimately determine how that works. But you, I'm talking about your listening audience. I'm talking about the people in the studio. I'm talking about me and beyond. When we have opportunity, when we listen closely, when we engage into the process, we can make a difference. I could give you innumerable examples of how that works, and maybe in the future we can get into more detail. Now, issues that are facing us now, think about it. We still have a situation where we have disproportionate incarceration of people of color. That's a huge issue. There is still need for criminal justice reform. It's not over. When we passed a bill, in fact, we passed a couple of bills that dealt with it, made it better, but it didn't get to the heart of what we have to do. This is going to be a continuing battle because of the framework, that institutionalization, structural racism and classism, I should say, also. Poor folks in prison. You don't find a bunch of rich folks in prison. Poor folks basically in prison. That's a class issue and it's a race issue as well, because we're disproportionately represented in that particular piece. That voting piece I just told you about, what that governor did, I just told you that was put in place, and it was taken away, and now it's put back in place. Guess what? It will be taken away again by the next governor. So we have to put that into law. That battle of voter registration continues. If we're talking about what we're going to do when we move into the future, education, The last governor ran around and what? He lambasted teachers. Let me tell you, you can think what you want about a teacher, but at the end of the day, I learned something years ago. One of my kids having a little difficulty in elementary school at one point, so I engaged the school. We had it all set up and so forth. They weren't doing what I thought they should do at the level, so I went in there raising hell. And so, wait a minute. So I remember one time they had all the teachers at the table and the principal was there and all that sort of stuff. And I got everything off my chest. Everybody agreed to do that. And I walked outside that classroom, outside that building at school. And then all of a sudden, dread came over me because I realized, guess what? My child was still in the school when I was walking away. They had my child. We had to be in there together working that out. I can't be working against them. I got to work with them, and they can't work against me. I'm not saying that everybody's perfect in this process, but you cannot let go of it. And you got to build ways of giving our children the environment and the support they need to be successful. So my whole attitude changed right there. I turned on a dime, and I haven't looked back since. But we had a governor that was running around just beating up on teachers. Look, what is that? Does that make any sense? Come on, doesn't make any sense. This governor comes in and what? Talking about voting making a difference. He comes in and gives them the respect that they're due. They won't get all they want. There'll be struggle, there'll be disagreements. But at the very minimum, at least, he gives the respect of, I would suggest, it's probably one of the highest callings in the society, and that is to be a teacher. So I could go on and on with that. There are many, many challenges and issues that are in front of us. But we're in a legislative session now. It's going to go to April the 15th. There's easy ways for people to get involved and to voice their opinion. In fact, they can do that without even leaving where they're sitting. They can call and they can get that information in there in a way that we can hear it in Frankfurt, not just me, all the legislators. In fact, with your permission, I'd like to give out a number where people can contact us that I think would be useful to them. For instance, if they want to write a letter to one legislator or all legislators, they can send that to 702 Capitol Avenue, Frankfort, Kentucky. Address it to all legislators, 702 Capitol Avenue. Or better yet, get a list of your legislators and make sure your legislator understands what you think about what issues. And if you don't know what those issues are, then ask, what are the key issues that are affecting you? Let me tell you, they'll be delighted to share that kind of information. Guess what? You can call in toll free. You don't have to pay a penny. Toll free. I hope somebody's taking this down on the other side. 800. You know what the 800 number is, right? So 800 372 7181. I hope that's repeated a lot during the next 3 or 4 months in this radio station. 800 372 7181. That is a toll-free message line. You can leave one message for all legislators or an individual legislator you want to communicate with. I guarantee you they get that message. Even if they don't get back with you, they got your input. And then you can actually visit the legislature. You can voice your opinion. You can come and actually individually lobby. You can do it on your own, or you can do it with a group of other citizen lobbyists. Let me tell you, there's nothing I enjoy more, and I learn from that process, and they learn from that process. So I think it's very important that they do that. Now that number, the message line again, if I may, please take this down. 800 372 7181. Very important. Use it, please, every day. Now, if I could deal with two things that just got passed in the legislature.
Go ahead.
Out of the Senate, not the legislature. Folks need to understand this is crucial. Senate Bill 3 amends the Constitution of Kentucky. At least it proposed to do that, to hold the election of the governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, auditor of public accounts, and the attorney general and secretary of state and commissioner of agriculture all in the same year. See, Those are constitutional offices. And they were held, what? In 2019, the last time. But the big election is when? 2020. That's when the President of the United States is involved. What that means is that more people participate when presidents are running. And when that was carved out separately, basically less people came out. That's how the previous governor got elected with 13% of eligible voters in Kentucky. That's ridiculous. So the question is, what do you do? How do you get people involved in this process? So this is proposed to change that, to put them in the same year. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because I just told you that the other party's in control. So if their president wins, but then again, guess what? You can vote on the federal level and get involved. You change that arena. Another bill, Senate Bill 11, it would charge a tenant, something totally different. Charge a tenant with the offense of criminal mischief, first, second, or third degree, for intentionally and wantonly defacing, destroying, or damaging residential rental property. Now, on the face of that, you might say, hey, that's fine. You know, somebody goes out there and starts destroying property, you ought to put them in jail. But the fact of the matter is that creates a line between a landlord and a tenant. Charges can be made, they're criminalized, something that should be in the civil arena, I would suggest. That bill passed. I voted against that bill because we have too much criminalization right now. There are bills on marijuana. I know that's a controversial piece, but I think there's some validity to medical marijuana, and I think there's an argument that we need to discuss how we're going to handle marijuana for recreational use. Not just from the standpoint of making it available, but decriminalizing it. And there's a bill that's been filed that decriminalizes that, because too many individuals are put into the criminal framework on something that's very questionable as to whether they should be criminalized in this particular way. At least that's the debate we need to have, and we need to address that. Then the big issue, and there's going to be many more issues, by the way, and I'm going to report to you routinely and share that with you, the budget. We are struggling to find ways to get new revenue to deal with very complex issues that we have in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. There's not enough money. We know that. In fact, if you look at the way we handle the pension system, what did we do? We turned around and required everybody locally that, we're behind. I mean, there's billions of dollars in the hole in terms of our future obligations in the pension system. It's got to be fixed. We made a promise, we got to fix it. But we have some leaders that were in control that said, pay it now, or pay it at this accelerated rate. And what did it do? It impacted decision making on the local level, where now you have local people saying, well, do we tax people more on this level, or do we back off of services that we've already committed that people are used to? Well, they had to make a decision. They backed off of some of those services. But the state put them in that position to do that. And that's wrong. So I don't know how we back from that, but I do tell you this, that we do have to find new revenues. We do need to reform our tax system. And I could go on and on and on. I'm going to stop there, but I do want to say this. My initial thing is engage in this process, getting involved, learning more about it. Now, this legislative session and into the future, I'm going to spend most of my time sending this message of unity in our community, this message of engagement with the political process, this message of recognizing and showing respect, pushing back negativity. Negativity, you can't build anything throwing rocks at people. You build things by you stepping forward and doing positive things. And if you can't do it, supporting those who are. That's how you make change. So we got to change our standard. We got to change the way we relate to each other. We got to do it in a respectful way, in an honest way, but a respectful way. I appreciate you being patient with me and allowing me to share that.
We invited you to be here